As I look back, I'm starting to recognize, yes, I do see evidence of Meno-rage. Have you experienced that, Angie?
I just chalked it up under mood swings. It would be shocking how I could go from 0 to over 100 in a very short period of time. Maybe because there was just the counter wasn't clean enough. I mean, ridiculous. Hey Brian, have you ever walked into a room knowing exactly what you were needing and why you were there, only to find out you have no idea what you need or why you're there?
That never happens to me, Angie. The only reason I'm in that damn room is because I'm looking for something that you've lost.
Stop. I'm so over that. He's kidding. Welcome to the Gen X Survival Guide, the podcast where we tackle the real challenges faced by Gen X midlifers, based on my 25 years of coaching women with compassion, humor, and some much needed straight talk. I'm Angie DeGeronimo, Silicon Valley performance coach and certified overthinker.
And I'm Brian Asha. I'm a recording artist and I'm a coach and I'm a survivor of the midlife hormone wars. Together, we are here to bridge the gap between he said and she said. We're calling it hormone hijinks. So whether you're juggling your family or your work or you just want to find the damn keys, we're here for you.
So let's just start with the systems and how it works, just off the top. The endocrine system is kind of like a symphony conductor when it comes to managing a lot of the symptoms that we feel when we're going through menopause. Our mood, our energy, our appetite, our weight, and so much more. So it's really important to have that balance, particularly the estrogen and the progesterone balance. And there's a lot of things we can do at that time.
I know of what you talk because as a man, I've been through all of these hormonal changes from the very beginning. As guys, we go through the puberty of our daughters. We go through the pregnancy of our wives. We also then go through PMS on a monthly basis. And then finally, we go through menopause. We are right there with you, sister, down in the trenches. We know exactly how you feel.
Yes, and that's good to hear. I think what's really important now is that we need to bring it out and talk about it so that we can begin to do something about it. I think we are not always talking about it.
So I'm ready to talk about it, but in my long experience, as soon as a man starts talking about a woman's hormonal problems or hormonal situation, that's where he's spending the night, maybe all the nights.
And that, I think that also has to come down to us talking about it. I think when we as women feel more comfortable talking about hormones and how we're feeling, we'll be able to more easily express it to you and have you help us. Right. But we first have to help ourselves, right? By being honest and not poo-pooing the process.
I don't think you're allowed to say poo-poo on television. I just want to make a comment on your last point. This really has to be a two-way conversation.
Right.
I'm ready to listen, but you've also got to give me permission to talk about what I'm experiencing of your hormones.
Okay, great. So we're going to start with one thing that I realized. I decided I was going to count how many hot flashes I had. Yeah. So I counted, and it was 18 in one day.
Wow.
So how do you feel about that? So if I just came to you, you want me to talk to you about it so you don't end up over there, what would you do? What would you say? How would you help me?
Well, you know what? I'm not sure I know how to help you with your hot flashes, but I can certainly sympathize because one of the things I know about hot flashes is, first of all, it's this overwhelming feeling that your entire body is on fire. And it always happens at the worst possible moment, usually when you're at an important meeting at work. Your mind goes completely blank. You forget where you are and what you're talking about. So it's really a double whammy. Not only is it physically unpleasant, it's horrible actually, but also you have that whole mental piece, which makes it embarrassing. So I've got nothing but sympathy for hot flashes. Awful.
Right, and I think it's a matter of us being able to come to you with that because maybe you could take some of that stress off when we're outside of the office, right?
Sure.
When we're in the home environment.
Absolutely.
Okay, and then there's the sleep, getting up randomly, and then I would go back to myself and say, okay, why am I not sleeping? What did I potentially do in the evening that could have caused? Because you're trying to figure it out so that it stops, so that you can do something about it, right?
And actually, it's not that you had that cup of tea or coffee at 4 o'clock. It's just the hormonal thing.
Yeah, you're wanting to blame it on something, right? But there's nothing there.
Yeah, and here's the thing about the sleeplessness, because if you're not sleeping, you know that I'm not sleeping.
Right.
So if the woman is up all night because of her hormones, then the fella for sure is also up all night. And that means two very grumpy people at each other's throats in the morning, right?
And then how about the brain fog? How about that? Like we opened up today saying, I walk into a room
Yeah.
and I'm not sure quite why I'm there. So this is a change that I don't think you're really great with humor. I think it helps to have a little bit of humor around it, because the
Right.
other side of that is just we're going to be depressed about it and upset,
Yeah.
right?
Well, I certainly know, Angie, being around you, I need a sense of humor. But here's one thing that people don't talk much about when it comes to menopause. It's the all-consuming rage that can come upon you out of nowhere. I was recently in England speaking to a friend of mine there who'd been through the menopause, and she talked about Meno-rage. And as I look back, I'm starting to recognize, yes, I do see evidence of Meno-rage. Have you experienced that, Angie?
I have. I just chalked it up under mood swings.
Right.
So, but it would be shocking how I could go from 0 to over 100 in a very short period of time.
Right.
Maybe because there was just the counter wasn't clean enough. I mean, ridiculous. But it's real. So we have to pay attention to it and talk about it.
Right. And probably maybe the last symptom we'll go over in detail, because I think I'm going to go get my crash helmet. Let's talk a little bit about the belly. What's happening there?
Right. As we age, we're losing lean mass, or we're losing muscle. And unless we really focus on that 3 to 4 times a week, the fatty tissue is going to increase. And typically that's happening around our middles. So that is a big one. And we have to look at all the symptoms that we're dealing with also as a precursor to that, because if we're not sleeping, we're typically wanting foods that might help us stay up,
feel better,
which is usually,
It's the sugary snacks, it's the sugary drinks, it's probably wine by the bottle full. All of these things pack on the calories and partly explain to why your shape is starting to change. But it's also genetic and it's also hormonal. So you can't blame yourself for the whole thing. It's part of a natural process.
Right. And I think instead of taking the approach of powering through, where we just look the other way. As a Gen Xer, I think a lot of ladies can relate. We were born into the multitasking. I actually got a high off of how many things I could check off and how much I could get done in a day. And oh gosh, my body's changing and I don't have time to think about that because I run this company, or I'm raising children. And so it really does come down to us paying attention, creating time, and thinking about our life differently in middle life.
Clearly, if you're going through hormonal difficulties, we've just gone through the list of symptoms. It's not pleasant. There are solutions for you. You can go and speak to your doctor about how he can help you with hormone replacement therapy. You can go to a naturopath, and they have a whole arsenal of things that they can do to help. But what Angie and I are here to help you with is really the simple daily habits that can help you manage this transition in a way that's, not going to tear you and your partner apart, and allow you to get through it with a minimum of disruption. So Angie, I think you make a great point, which is the first thing we have to look at is our routine. What can we do differently to mitigate some of the things we're going through?
And our little wonders are simple daily habits that put our health and happiness first. And one of the things that the backdrop of that is circadian medicine and our natural rhythms. So it's going to pull a lot of the heaviness of what we're going through off. It's hard, heaviness in every way. It makes everything a little more doable. So is this the time that I should bring in my tips?
Why didn't you do that? I see that. I've been wondering what those are. You brought them in, so let's go through those.
So ladies, at this time we are hot and we are dry. Our hair is drying, our skin is drying, our eyes feel more dry. So as for the drying aspect, Ayurveda, that circadian medicine, we drop into something called abhyanga, which is when we oil the skin, and we oil the skin with herbs. So things like ashwagandha and licorice. These are actual herbs that are now placed in a carrier oil that we can put on our skin twice a day, once a day, twice a week, whatever works for you. But it will make a difference in how your body physically feels. Women have reported just feeling more grounded, especially with drier climates this time of year. Then with our heat in our system, this is something, it's just peppermint oil. It's peppermint essential oil that would take to the back of the neck. That's its perfect spot. And when we do that, the entire system cools. So this will in no way get rid of those hot flashes, but it certainly will help you right there in the moment.
I love that because, Angie's been working for 25 years with women of all ages. You've been there through all of the pregnancies, the PMS and the menopause. And I love that you found these two simple little remedies, these little home remedies that work. I mean, you've had great reports of how the little dab will do you.
Yes.
And it cools you right off and it's practical. It fits in your purse. It's perfect.
Right. These things you can take right along with you in your day. As for, taking a closer look at the multitasking and the powering through, this is a time I think that's really appropriate to take stock of where you are at this time in your life. Take a look back, look at the things that are working for you and the things that aren't. And I would say my biggest piece of advice there would be to try to focus on your body at the times when you're noticing the stress, like right in that time. Yeah. So, let's say you're waiting in a line and you feel the stress in your body. What are you waiting in line for? Does that have to be something you have to do in that day? To just take a minute to think about, why am I stressed in this moment and how can this day be different for me? Makes all the difference in the world.
Absolutely.
On how you want to.
We're all locked in our routines. And sometimes as we grow, as we get older, those same old habits, they just don't work for us in the way that they used to. So if you're powering through and stopping for grabbing a coffee and a quick bite to go from the local Starbucks, maybe that routine isn't working for you anymore. Maybe it's time to re-examine how you spend your mornings.
Right.
Maybe it's time to take that $10 a day, put it in the piggy bank and save up for a nice holiday.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. So just trying to look at what are the decisions that I'm making every day and do they support me? Do they support the less stress? Because stress is going to add to all of these menopausal symptoms. Yeah. So I think there does need to be a little bit of some smart talk back to yourself to let yourself know what can I do differently now?
That's a great segue to this idea of supporting your new life with new habits. But, being in a supportive environment at home will make all the difference. We've been joking about he said, she said piece, but the truth is there isn't enough honest conversation about hormones and hormonal changes, and especially menopause. Women feel, I'm going to say it, they feel a little shameful about it. It seems to imply that they're getting older, they're no longer fertile, and those sorts of things. Whereas the women I know who've been through menopause actually say it's completely liberating. They can finally relax about some of the stresses they had before, about getting pregnant and all of those kinds of things. So there's a whole new life after menopause. But I think that in order to get there, men and women, he and she, have to sit down and have honest conversations about what's going on. And the fellas have to do a little bit of research about what's going on, but also sit down and do some active listening to find out what is actually going on for their partner. Because that's the only way they're going to learn why all this crazy is happening and what they can do to support her through this difficult time.
Right. And there's no powering through in that message. This is something where we have to connect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have to connect about it.
Well, thanks for hanging out with us today. My name is Brian Asha.
And this is Angie DeGeronimo. On socials, I'm at Little Wonders with Angie. So go ahead and share with me or drop me a DM with all of your hormone hacks, if you have any. I'd love to hear from you.
All right. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you next time.